Well, we got some breaking news. Breaking news for Inter Miami. They are set to hire a new manager, and it's not anyone that was on anybody's radar. This is probably one of the most random hires that we've seen, not only in MLS, not only for Inter Miami, I should say, but for MLS. They hire Cristian Kily González. And you guys will have to let me know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly or incorrectly. But we got a bombshell today from Cesar Luis Merlot. Huge news for Inter Miami. And I'm curious to see if you guys agree or disagree that this is a good move, disappointing, or how you feel about the signing of this new manager for Inter Miami. But before we get into that, guys, don't forget that MLS Moves is presented by FanDuel, our proud sponsor of the channel. Also, make sure you guys do us a favor. Hit that like button down below. It helps the channel out. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new or if you haven't already. We are, 550 subscribers away from 15,000. So make sure you guys help us out and subscribe if you haven't already. Okay. So this was super random. Didn't see this coming. And we're going to try to find some information out about what's going on with this hire, because there is a little bit of, I don't know if it's been said for sure when he's supposed to take over. And we'll talk a little bit about Inter Miami because they've been on a recent slide more in the last couple weeks. More specifically, when after the World Cup, I think they've lost like their last 5 matches, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, Mr. High Will Chai. This franchise is hilarious how they treat their managers. William Mayer says, "Hey, Will, how's it going? I used to have Kily González, a Valencia shirt back in the day. I guess they threw spaghetti at the wall and see what stuck." Yeah, and a lot of people thought that they were going to probably hold out, maybe try to hire a better manager during the winter time. There were some people that thought maybe they were going to go for Lionel Scaloni after his deal runs out with Argentina. They thought maybe Xavi Hernandez. That's a guy that I had heard for a while, but they were going to be careful. They were going to be patient, and they were going to be very methodical on who the next manager was going to be of this team. And this is who they hire. I tell you what, this one is very, very interesting. Okay, so we read this. Cristian González is the new coach of Inter Miami. More details to follow. And then we had a report. Let me pull this post back up. This is from Franco Panizo. He says, want to know more about Cristian González, who is reportedly going to be named new Inter Miami head coach. He is from Rosario and had a good playing career that includes 2 stints with Valencia and Inter Milan. As a coach, largely unproven. Okay, we're going to find out exactly what this guy's intentions are as far when he's going to take over the team. I'm sure it's out there. I've heard some, both sides that maybe he's going to take over now. Maybe he's going to wait till after the season's over, but we'll see. So to start off, like he mentioned, he's had a illustrious playing career, very good playing career. He played at Valencia. He played at Inter Milan. He played at Rosario, Zaragoza, Boca Juniors. He's played for several teams, right? Several teams throughout his career, 446 appearances, 45 goals. But my thing is, I don't care what a guy's done throughout his playing career. What the hell does that even matter? Because there's been so many good players who don't amount to good managers. This is a common theme we've seen numerous times throughout the world. Look at Javier Mascherano. Great player, legendary player for Barcelona, not worth a damn as a manager. Doesn't mean anything. Now, they're on the flip side. There are some managers who did have a good playing career that are good managers too, but they're very far and few between, in my opinion. Now, let's look at his resume as a manager, because this is what he's being hired to do. He's hired to be the replacement for Javier Mascherano / Guillermo Hoyos. So he's coached at 3 different places. He coached at his boyhood club, Rosario Central. He coached at Union, Club Atletico Union, and then Platense. So these are the 3 teams he's coached. Let's look and see what his resume is. Now, I peeked at this already, but let's look and see what his resume is for you guys to show what they're getting themselves into. Now, one of the things about Inter Miami, especially in the Messi era, one of the biggest criticisms of the team is that they concede too many goals. Their defense has always been very leaky, unorganized, and just not very good, right? So look at this guy's stats. Okay, so at Rosario Central, He coached 68 games, 25 wins, 14 draws, 29 losses. And he has a -3 goal difference, conceded 98, scored 95, 37% win percentage at his boyhood club. So not absolutely horrible, but not great by any standard either. Pretty underwhelming, right? So then he gets a chance to coach a year later at Atletico Union for 1 year. He played, 2 years. He coached 78 games, 25 wins. So he matched his total at Rosario, but with 10 more games, 26 draws, 27 losses, 68 goals scored, 72 conceded, -4 for a 32% win percentage. Still not very good, right? Then his last and most recent stint was at Platense, who's also in the Argentine league. By the way, he has never coached outside the Argentinian league. He coached for 3.5, 4 months, 14 matches, 2 wins, 6 draws, 6 losses with a -9 goal difference and a 14.29 win percentage. So for his career, he has a -16 goal difference and a 32.5, we'll round it up 33% win percentage in 3 stints over 6 years in the Argentinian league. So this is a very, very underwhelming hire for Inter Miami. I mean, this is supposed to be the gold standard club in Major League Soccer. They're supposed to be the set the trend for the league. They're supposed to do things differently, more bold, and just take this to heights and levels we've never seen. And they just made an absolute disaster of a hire, in my opinion. I mean, this is the worst hire that they've made of any coach they've had in the Messi era, more specifically. Tata Martino was hired in 2023. He obviously had the blunder in 2024, but he showed promise, and he was pretty good for most of his stint outside the Atlanta series. He's the best coach they've hired. They fired him after 1 full season. They hire Javier Mascherano, another Messi disciple, another guy that's friends with Messi. Relationship at Barcelona, Argentinian national team teammate. He coaches 1 year, wins MLS Cup, has a bad start to the 2026 season, CONCACAF Champions Cup, embarrassing exit against Nashville SC. They fire him shortly after. He's gone. Guillermo Hoyos, who is more of a technical director role with Inter Miami, gets the interim job, does well for the most part for the first couple games before the break of the World Cup. He is also another Messi connection, and they let him stay on at least for the short term. They're going to let him go through, which we'll find out when this guy's supposed to take over. But he's kind of been very, very disappointing more recently, with the results Miami has had. They haven't won a game in a couple weeks. We'll share their schedule, what they've done recently. So the last game they won was against Montreal, which was 1-0. They've had a couple draws, couple losses. They've just not looked very good in the last couple games they played with Hoyos. And even the games they did win, they didn't look great. So the team has struggled mightily under Hoyos, especially after the World Cup break. Now they hire this Kily González, guy is very unproven, has a Messi connection, right? Always has to have a Messi connection. And it just feels like this is it's frustrating because MLS coaching is already so bad, but hiring another bum-ass coach on a team like this, right, that has aspirations to be very, very successful and try to challenge and win CONCACAF Champions Cup and all these trophies, this is just another swing and a miss for me. Now, could he be good? Of course. I mean, anyone can be good, but what's the chances? What's the likelihood that he is good? Look at his resume. Like I said, 32.5% win percentage. So this feels like a very lazy 10th option hire for me for Inter Miami. They could have had a Xavi Hernandez if they're willing to pay. He ended up taking the Dutch national team job. He was on the market for almost 2 years. No, he was on the market for 2 years. They could have they're not getting Pep Guardiola. He's semi-retired right now, probably waiting for a better option. But what they could have done is they could have just kept Hoyos at least for the rest of the year and then seen what their options were at the end of the season. They chose not to do that. Lionel Scaloni, this probably signals that he's most likely going to return to Argentina at least for another cycle and that he's not going to step away from the national team gig. So, but there's so many other coaches. Like, it doesn't have to be just people that's connected to Messi. I just named 3 guys that were connected to Lionel Messi. They could have hired any other coach who was qualified that's good. Like, you don't have to hire someone who just has a connection to Messi. Sometimes it's best if you don't do that, because then you can kind of have someone who can push him, and it can, change things up a little bit for the better, and just have a totally different viewpoint, in my opinion. But this is just, my God, I'm curious. What do you guys think? Do you guys think this is a good hire or a bad hire? I haven't read the chat here in a minute, but do you guys like or dislike this hire by Inter Miami? Yes or no? Also, if you guys are just joining us, make sure you hit the like button. We got almost 55 people in here right now. And I'm curious to see if there is any news about when he's supposedly going to take over for the Inter Miami gig. Does anyone know this yet? I have not seen definitively what the deal is or when they're expecting him to take over for Inter Miami. Let's see if there's any other reporters that are coming up with it. But I'm curious to know if you guys approve or disapprove of this hire. Let's look and see if Michelle Kaufman has said anything about this, because, she's one of the bigger reporters on the job for Inter Miami, right? Covering the team. I don't see anything about him when he's supposedly taking over. I don't see when it just says that he's a new coach, will be announced in the coming hours, and will manage Lionel Messi, whom he has a very good relationship with. So the way I'm reading it, and listen, I could be completely wrong, right? I don't know for a fact if this is the way it's going to be, but from the way I read it, he's probably going to take over here pretty soon. I don't think they're going to wait until the winter time for him to take over as the manager. So it looks to me like he's going to end up being implemented in as the new manager sooner rather than later, which is kind of interesting because it's almost September. There's only about a month and a half left of the regular season. This is a very interesting move for Inter Miami down the stretch. Now, to be fair, and look, I could be completely wrong about this, right? Wouldn't be the first time. They could be maybe giving him a chance to coach this team. I would assume he's not making much money to coach this team. They could be bringing him in here to kind of see what he can do for the rest of the season and decide if they want to go in the direction of him or someone else, either at the end of this year or maybe at the end of the sprint season. Maybe they're trying to see how good he is, if he's good enough for the job, if he's qualified, how he meshes with the team. That could be a possibility. Now, would I do that? No, I wouldn't. I think that's chaotic, and I think that that's not a good approach. But I'm not making the decisions. It's another messy hire. It is. I wish they would not do that. He's managed a couple Argentinian clubs. Like I said, top manager won't be interested until the spending rules change. They hired an interim for an interim. That's the thing. I do think that this possibly could be an interim manager. I don't know if he is going to keep the job long term. I think they might just test him out and see how he does. He's not done very well at previous stops. And it's funny, Chris from Battered Herons calls Hoyos the substitute teacher, which I think is a great analogy, because he does kind of just let them do whatever they want and just kind of he has a little bit of oversight of the situation, but he's kind of just letting them do whatever the hell they want. Rosario Central was his best team, a solid side in Argentina, which is why he scored more goals than he conceded. Then the Union and Platense are mid-table to lower-table teams. That's the thing. I don't think he did, though. He never scored more goals than he conceded. That was his thing the whole entire time. If you go back here and look, he conceded more goals than he scored at Rosario. 95 scored, 98 conceded, -3 goal difference. So he never scored more goals than he conceded. It's always been the trend, and it got worse with each passing stint. And so did the win percentage. The goals gave up went worse. The win percentage got worse with each stint he had as a manager. You have to question a manager's decision making when he always wears a jacket, no matter how hot it is. What's with that with Guillermo? Well, I think the more concerning thing about him is what's up with the dyed hair, the frosted tips at 63 years old. That's the question I have. Why is that a priority at this point? Let's see. Certainly doing things differently would also say dysfunctional. I wish they could hire a black coach from Columbus Crew. Listen, you're talking about Wilfred Nancy. Beckham do better because Beckham do understand how competitive MLS nowadays. MLS is not a joke. All the teams are balling out. Yeah, that's another thing too. You could have hired a coach. You're talking about Wilfred Nancy. There was MLS coaches you could have hired that has a more proven track record than him. And that's saying something, because I don't rate Major League Soccer coaches that highly. I think they're very underwhelming and that they leave a lot to be desired. But you could have hired a Wilfred Nancy, who's definitely a more proven coach in Major League Soccer. Let's see. Doubt it will improve at Miami and CCC. They need a pace and some defense. I think Nancy wants to make it work in Europe, even if he has to take a step back. Last I heard, he was just kind of waiting out to see if there's a good opportunity that comes up. I'm not really sure either way. But this hire is just an absolute disaster, in my opinion, for Inter Miami, a team that's struggling mightily. This will be their third coach in the last year. Well, honestly, it'll be their third coach in the last 6 months. So it's a team that is just heading in the wrong direction. And I just think this is am I crazy? Is this not just a super underwhelming hire for the club? Like, this is a super, super underwhelming hire for the club. Like, very, 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 very underwhelming. Very underwhelming. Like, could they not have done better? Could they not have done better? They had guys that there was a coach in, it was the Liga MX. It was the coach for Club America. Now, obviously, he got fired, and it didn't turn out too well for him. But the point is that they were looking at someone like him, a guy who had won the Clausura or Apertura. I think he won both at Club America. They were looking for a great coach from a big club to take over this team and maybe implement some of the things that he did over here. And so that's another reason why. I mean, this guy had no offers. He'd been out of coaching for over a year. Like, I guarantee you he had no offers because his last stint was atrocious. It only lasted 3 or 4 months. So if this was the guy, why the hell didn't they hire him months ago? Do you get what? Like, why now? Why now? Like, this guy has been readily available for a minute. Why are they hiring him now? That's the question I have. Like, so that's a bad sign. Like, it's a really, really bad sign for the team. Inter Miami new manager. What's this? Yes, they got a new manager. If you guys are just joining us, his name is. Let me pull up the original tweet here. Let me pull up the original tweet by Merlot. Cristian González is the new, and he goes by Kily, is the new coach of Inter Miami. More details from now, exclusive. I mean, let me click on this article and see if I can, if this will translate. Let me see if I can get this in English, and maybe we'll be able to read what it says. I don't know if I'll be able to translate this. I'm trying to figure out if I can do this, and that way we can. Here we go. Maybe this will work. Okay, here we go. So this is on his website. Let me share this real quick. I'll zoom in so we can read it. Maybe this will have a little bit more information. According to information obtained by the Tribuna, Cristian Kily González has finalized negotiations with Inter Miami and will be the new coach of the American team, replacing Angel Guillermo Hoyos. The Argentine has been without a team since October 2025 when his stint as manager at Platense ended. He previously managed Rosario Central and Union de Santa Fe, the latter securing their survival in the top division and qualification to Copa Sudamericana. With his arrival, Inter Miami, González will have a first experience as a coach outside of Argentina and will manage Lionel Messi, one of the main figures of the American team. So the way that Merlot is reporting this to me implies that he's going to be the manager ASAP. And I just keep wondering, why did they do this sooner? This is my biggest question. Why didn't they do this sooner? If this guy is the guy, right? If he's the man, why did they wait till now to hire him? No one wanted the guy. He was an outcast. Why didn't they hire him sooner than now? He's been available the whole time. But he's probably not friends with Messi. Maybe he's not, but that makes it even more weird. Why are you hiring this guy? There's so many. Yes, Turco Mohamed would be great. Argentine, knows Messi and won titles in MX. They could have totally gotten to Lucas head coach, Mohamed. They totally could have got Mohamed to be the manager, I think, of Inter Miami. He would have left Toluca in a heartbeat to be the manager of Inter Miami. Why is this not a guy that they pursued for the job? Why was this not a guy they pursued for the job? There's so many other players that you could name that would have been good, other coaches that you could have hired, like, Nancy, like we talked about. Mohamed would have been another good one. Now, Lionel Scaloni obviously isn't going to come. What about Marcelo Gallardo? Now, I think he just took a job maybe, but they could have hired him months ago. There's all these guys that they could have hired that would have been much better options for Inter Miami than what they have hired. And it's very underwhelming. And I feel like this guy's fate's going to be the same as the previous guys. He's going to fail and he's going to get fired. Like, what the hell is even his identity? He concedes a lot of goals. I mean, they do score goals, but he concedes a lot of goals. That's what has been his resume throughout his other stints as a coach. I meant the Club America guy, probably isn't friends with Messi. Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, you're talking about Jardine, I think was his name. Possibly, but dude, is that a bad thing? Like, I think you need to hire the best coach. You don't need to hire who's friends with Messi. You should have hired Mohamed from Toluca. He's the best coach in the entire continent right now. He's got Toluca about to probably win another trophy. Mohamed has been a great manager in Liga MX. He's Argentinian. He seems like he knows how to win big games. That would have been the guy I would have hired if I was Inter Miami. That's a guy that's like very realistic and like possible. I think he would have been a very, very obtainable Antonio Mohamed. I think he would have been a very attainable coach. And he is 56 years old. He's from Buenos Aires, Argentina. He's coached several teams in Liga MX. He's coached several teams in Argentina. He's coached a team in Spain. He coached Celta Vigo for, I think, half a season. It didn't end well, but he still coached them for half a season. But he just he's decorated. But, it doesn't matter now because they've hired this guy. What would you give this guy's grade? Like, what would you give him grade-wise for the hiring, for Inter Miami's hiring of Cristian González? What do you guys like? I want a grade 1 through 10, what you would give this. I'm giving it like a 2. I think this is very underwhelming. This is like one of the worst case scenarios for Inter Miami. Nobody's going to be excited. No fan's going to be excited for this guy. And it's not like one of those situations where you're hiring a guy who's unknown but has a lot of success in his stints as a coach. This is a guy that no one knows. This is another Messi friend. And this is a guy that has a horrible track record, winning-wise, defensive-wise. Like, there's nothing really to be positive about him except he's a new face. But that's not a good thing necessarily, just hiring to hire somebody. That's very, very underwhelming. A lot of overreaction here. Guy hasn't even coached a game yet. But the point is that you're going off the guy's resume. This is a job that people thought would have been highly desirable, and you hire a guy who has a horrible track record to take on one of the biggest jobs in North America in soccer. And then also you're tasking this guy with horrible credentials to hopefully win you a CONCACAF Champions Cup and turn your season around. And it's likely that he's going to take over ASAP. I just think that that's wish casting. I don't think that's going to work out. Now, that's what I said too. Because of his limited options, maybe this is a trial run. Maybe they hire him. He coaches for the rest of the season. Maybe this sprint season. If he sucks, they dump him. Maybe that's what they do. I have no idea. But I'm telling you right now, on the surface level, this is a very bad hire. Very underwhelming, very uninspiring. I'm going to see what he does, obviously, because we don't know specifically what he's going to do with this team. But I just think this is probably going to be more of the same, where there's going to be flaws and it might be worse. I don't know. Guillermo Hoyos had the team playing okay. Then he's fallen off. Javier Mascherano won him an MLS Cup. They fell off. This guy's got the weakest resume probably of any coach they've hired in the Messi era by far. It's like it gets worse. It's like they hire Martino, great resume. Then they go to Mascherano, great playing resume, no coaching experience. Underwhelming is he's no first team coaching experience. Underwhelming experience with the Argentine under-20 team. Then you go to Hoyos as the interim, who has, I think, coached in Bolivia, was the highest level he had ever coached. Very underwhelming. And then this guy who is a failure in Argentina. So it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse with each passing hire. So we'll see what happens. I thought they were going to swing big and they were really going to go for a big-time coach, or at least a very successful coach, to pair with Messi in probably his last year and a half or 2 years with Inter Miami. But look, I'm wrong. I think this is underwhelming. I'm not a big fan of this hire. Inter Miami have a pretty brutal schedule for the rest of the season that they're going to have to turn around if they want to try to go deep in the playoffs. They failed miserably in CONCACAF Champions Cup. They failed in Leagues Cup. They failed in a lot of tournaments. And they're going to have to, I mean, this is a brutal, brutal schedule down the stretch of the season. So we're going to have to see when he takes over. I'm assuming he's not going to coach against Montreal. I would look to maybe that Atlanta United game or the Chicago Fire game. But yeah, this is very interesting. We'll monitor it and we'll see what happens. Kevin Hernandez says he will be good in MLS. He plays plays the attack very aggressive. I follow, I'm assuming him. Yeah, but I'm just worried because the attack hasn't really been the issue. Hoyos is playing kind of aggressive. It's more about the defense, and he's conceded a lot of goals. He seems very unorganized when it comes to the defense. So we'll have to see what he ends up doing. But listen, guys, I'm going to end it here. I just want to come on real quick and talk about this managerial hire that Inter Miami has made. We'll see. It looks like he's going to take over ASAP with the club. It'll be interesting to see how they do down the stretch and what his long-term plans are for the team. But I appreciate you guys for this emergency live stream. If you guys are joining us, also don't forget to check out our video we dropped today about MLS failing in Leagues Cup and how embarrassing it is. We dropped that earlier today. Make sure you guys also check that out. Don't forget to hit the like button on the way out to help us out, especially if you enjoyed the stream. Also, subscribe to the channel. We are 550 subs away from 15,000. We're getting closer and closer every single day. We're trying to hit 15K. Make sure you guys are subscribed if you haven't already. Hit the little bell notification so you never miss a video. And also, don't forget, MLS Moves is presented by FanDuel, a proud sponsor of the channel. Until next time, guys, I will see you all soon.